Well, the road to the 2024 ADAC SimRacing Expo starts right here. The opening round out of 5 for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy live on the ADAC SimRacing Expo Twitch and YouTube channels. And welcome along to Asetek Corsa because we've got 40 drivers gunning for the top 20 positions in the points paying final. The format quite simple. A 15-minute free practice session, a 10-minute qualifier, and then both groups will go into a respective 20-minute race each, the top 10 from each group, then go to the points final. What's more, we are at the Norisring, just on the banks of the Dutzenteich in Bavaria in Nürburgring. This is the scene of many a great DTM battle over the years. But with Asetek Simsports, we thought we'd switch it up a little bit here on Asetek Corsa because we've got the Duquesne LMP3 and your commentary duo right the way through this and up to the SimRacing Expo itself. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and alongside me, my partner in crime, my BFF when it comes to commentary. A very good evening, Nicholas Hilbrand.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome as always, Alex. Great to be back here for the SimRacing Expo. And yeah, I think we got quite a good show tonight on our hands.
Yes, so you're probably going to be with us for about the next 2 and a bit hours because we've got a lot of racing action. Of course, a big thank you to Asetek Simsports, Andre Eriksson, the entire team in Denmark for once again supporting this fantastic initiative, which really showcases some of the best racing talent in sim racing communities. And we're not talking about pro drivers, we're talking about people that have yet to be discovered, and we found that out, you and I did, at the Dortmund Messe last year, and we had some great racing with the Porsche 911 Cup car, and then we had the BMW M2 CS, of course, Norisring, Nico, well known for DTM antics, of course, the 40 years of DTM being celebrated just a few weeks ago, and funnily enough, I was actually there on terra firma, thanks to a good friend, Lockie Robinson, who races in ADAC GT4 Germany, but the Norisring has been around since the early 1970s. It's got 2 hairpins, an S-bend, and that's about it, and a lot of passing. But LMP3s don't really run on city streets, do they?
Normally not, you would think, but the ADAC LMP3 Cup actually, well, Prototype Cup, as it's properly called, they actually did race here before. I mean, as you said, you know, the current layout of the Norisring, yeah, since the early 1970s. I think there were original layouts that go back even further. I think the first race was in 1947 or something. So a very proud piece of German motorsport history here with this circuit, of course. And yeah, I think that one of those cars, you know, there's a lot of downforce, quite low weight comparatively, quite a lot of power with that 5.6 liter Nissan V8 naturally aspirated engine. And actually, this current one, they actually took a step away from the first generation of LMP3s. They now have actually traction control, so you can actually help a little bit, you know, putting that power down now.
Yes, very, very true. So the 5 rounds. So we've got tonight on the 21st of July. Then on the 11th of August, we head to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. We then, on the 1st of September, go to Lautsitzring and then Sachsenring, both in the DTM variations. However, for the 5th and final round, which will take place on the first day of this year's 10th anniversary of the SimRacing Expo. I can't really believe I'm saying that at the moment. We're going to leave it to you, the community. So stay tuned to the ADAC SimRacing Expo social media channels for further information. And looking back at qualifying, because we made sure that we gave everyone an equal opportunity. A big thank you to Tom Bunton, Dan Terry, and the entire team at Gridfinder for enabling us to get the best 40 drivers over a 2-week period to qualify in these Duquesne LMP3s. Now, obviously, Nico's saying 5.6 litre Nissan V8, which, Andre, I wonder if there's a noise curfew this year in the Dortmund Messe, because you guys were firing it up like nobody's business. But the key points that we have to look at it here, everyone's in the same equipment, everyone's going to be running on the same circuits. Circuit number 5, these drivers are not going to be able to really prepare for. So it's about getting the points early on the doors. We have got a point system. Thank you to Dan Terry for providing that. The biggest thing is we have Group 1, Group 2, Top 10 will go through to the final. Points are then awarded. And the drivers do also have a bye, as in the fact that if they can't make one of the rounds and they make the other 4, that's not a problem at all. But what can we expect amidst the bumpy streets of the Norisring, my friend?
Oh, quite a lot of excitement. I mean, these cars have, as I said, TC, but they don't have ABS. So the braking zones into the Grundig-Kehre and the Dutzendteich-Kehre should be quite interesting, to say the least. And especially, the S-curve in the middle of it, they're the only 2 corners that aren't a hairpin around here, or a flat-out left bend like the last corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be quite interesting here. And the Norisring, since it's got this, quite stop-start nature, it kind of inspires most of the time for pack racing. So quite a lot of slipstream trains, maybe even a little bit of bump drafting if we're lucky to see it. But you know how that can go sideways as well quite quickly.
Well, if anyone might remember the massive accident between Mike Rockenfeller and Gary Paffett back in 2018 down into Grundig-Kehre, which was a significant shunt, and this was just before DTM went into its second iteration of Class 1, because for those motorsport petrol heads out there, previously on the Community Trophy, we actually did go to ITC at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit for one of the rounds, which was crazy because everything was a Mercedes C-Class ITC car with Dime, Original Tyler, Mercedes-Benz, Sonax, every single livery that was on an ITC car in the mid-1990s was in that particular round of the Community Trophy. And it's great that one of the things, and from yourself, Nico, with regards to community, there is a sense of family within that.
I mean, 100%, because, even as we said earlier, we are looking to give some people who haven't made the big jump yet a chance to make that big jump. But even then, I've raced quite a few years. I've been active in sim racing, like the SimRacing Expo. I've got my 10-year anniversary for that this year. And a couple of the drivers I actually recognized, from having raced against them over the years. Jakub Charkot, Marius Nikolai. That's all people that I, eventually started with and had races with over the years. So it's always great to see this, sort of moment again and again of, oh wait, I know this guy. I remember this guy. We had this moment at that track in God knows when.
It was quite funny because I had a DM on Discord. Vielen lieben Dank, BS Competitions Gregor Schill. Because there's one thing that we need to discuss. Now, people were asking about prizes for this year's Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Please stay tuned to our social medias. There is news that's going to be dropping in the not too distant future before the SimRacing Expo. So these drivers will be competing for something. What it is at the moment, I don't know. But folks, if you haven't already seen what's been going on with regards to the 10th anniversary of the SimRacing Expo, just check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're on all the major platforms, and we will have over 60 plus exhibitors. And it is really, really exciting. Of course, myself and Nico return as the commentary duo. For you Actual Vision fans, yes, the big man himself, Luke Crane, is back along with his, the German jester, as I like to call him now, Matze Brandt, will be back with us once again. But we have got so much going on for the 10th anniversary. It really, from humble beginnings back at the Nürburgring in, around about a decade ago. Of course, obviously the Expo was put on ice pretty much like every major LAN event was back in 2020, and we came back kicking and screaming on the the main paddock, the main sort of like parade, the main sort of hall that the Nürburgring occupies. But obviously, we know that there's a lot of you people out there that say, yeah, we want to go back to the Nürburgring. However, the SimRacing Expo is now at a point where we've really outgrown the Nürburgring. Yes, it would be nice for people to go on the Tourisfahrt and on the Nordschleife and make it a real big sort of like petrol head extravaganza coupled with sim racing, which we can completely understand and appreciate. But events do evolve, and we're really looking forward to seeing so many of you. Tickets are flying out of the door at the moment. We've got a whole host of exhibitors. We've got stage panels. We've got competitions. Obviously, we are hosting the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy and also the ADAC Digital GT 500, which we'll talk about towards the end of this show because that starts its first round next week. And again, it's going to be a 5-round championship. It is also going to have a prize pool of €5,000. So we switched it up. We've gone away from the traditional insurance and make it a proper good old shootout, which is the way how it should be when it comes to, you want the best of the best competing against each other. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But hopefully very, very shortly we'll be able to go trackside for our first qualifying session. So we've got 20 drivers. So it's the odd number drivers from 1 to 39 that will be out first. Not everyone has filled out the spreadsheet because we are going to be using real names. It's none of this Discord user ID or Instagram handle. We'll then have drivers 2 to 40, the even numbered drivers, so they're all going to take part in a 15-minute practice session, a 10-minute qualifying session, and then it's a 20-minute sprint. No need for refueling, no need for new tyres. It is just basically qualify as high as you can. If you are at the front of the field, you've got the advantage, but you're the one who's probably got the most to lose when we are around these tight city streets. And Nico, the Norisring is unforgiving when you make a blunder.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, like one of the big ones that we had in recent history, the crash with Gary Paffett, Mike Rockenfeller. It's one of these moments, where you don't quite know how it's going to turn out in the end. I mean, the same thing as well. The father of, well, F1 driver and the cousin of one of my friends, Dennis Lind. Well, more likely, that the cousin, Kevin Magnussen, and his dad, Jan Magnussen, who actually raced in ITC there, had a full-on brake failure into the Grundigkehre and, actually, I think broke both of his legs because of just a direct hit into concrete blocks. So, we do get to absolutely enormous speeds here, even though this track is comparatively short. It's only 2.3 kilometers overall lap length. And the thing is, like, you have very good opportunities to make moves, but these opportunities can very quickly turn into not so desirable situations here, of course.
Yeah, very true. I mean, it's there's and don't worry, I'm already on my phone. I'm looking on YouTube. I'm looking on Twitch. So thank you so much for you lot for joining us. Of course, we've had Domayado Racing on YouTube saying, I think there's more bumpy tracks in the season. Well, this is the only street circuit. So you have got adverse tarmac conditions, you've got curbing, you've got the well-recognised Colosseum, obviously, which has been part of Germanic and also global history. And I'll be completely honest with you, when I first got there, it was an experience unlike any other. However, let's go trackside. Qualifying underway here for Group 1. And there we are, the Duquesne LMP3 cars roaring around the Norisring. Oscar Soprich, one of the drivers who qualified 23rd. And we're going to see around about a 48 to 49 second lap time here, Nico, as these cars absolutely thunder down the start-finish straight and hard on the brakes into the 180-degree left-hand hairpin. Someone's already locked up going into Grundigkehre. This is going to be an interesting one because you've got an LMP3, high downforce, a lot of aerodynamics, and minimal suspension travel.
Yeah, I mean, these cars are very, very hard, of course, the suspension, that is. So they're going to get a good shaking. If one of them isn't one of those hydraulic motion sims, I think it's going to be quite fun. And especially, you could see it there on the side, in the braking zone on the inside of that right-hander into Dutzend Teichkehre. There's still a little bit of sidewalk left, and I can tell you from experience from many different sims, it's not so pleasant when you hit that.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, again, lots of locking up behind. Oh, and Soprich has spun it. And this is coming out of, I think it's Grundigkehre, and then they run down towards the Schiller S's, which you've got to be there. You've got to have a little bit of finesse coming out of here. And then it's the run down to Ditzenteich. If anyone might remember the battles between the two kings of the Norisring in DTM, Jamie Green and Bruno Spengler. They both have the same amount of victories, and then both have decided to do something else, as in race elsewhere or run their own karting team. If your name's Jamie Green, and with son Will running in that outfit at the moment. And Joel Lask we run on board here. Vasovs now puts in a 48.5. We've also got Passoni, Cope, Soprich, Zoltis goes through with a 48.370. We will endeavour to do our best with regards to the names of the drivers. So let's just have a look. Zoltis can't make out. That might be Rafał Zoltisek, who qualified 5th. Just puts in a 48.370. Then we have, I think that's Igor Wakovsky, who is 2nd. Viglion, Joe Viglioni, 29th. And we've got quite a few others here. You did say about a certain Kimi Hoyer, 21st. Did Kimi qualify through into the Community Trophy. And then we have Thomas Cope, qualified 11th, now up to P3. Zoltisek holding on to 2nd at the moment, but Igor Wakovsky, the overall fastest driver in qualifying through the time trial for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, leading the way. And then we've got in 12th position Brad Smith. Well, it rounds out the top top 12 by just under 9.5 tenths of a second. So, as always here at the Norisring here, Nico, we always find that qualifying times can be decided by hundredths, tenths, even thousandths of a second.
Yeah, it's always a very, very, very fun little run around the Norisring, you know, especially because, for example, if I was in the role of Smith, for example, I'm already pushing it on the limit, and then I'm looking, where the heck am I going to get 9/10 of a second? And the thing is, with the Norisring, you know, you just keep repeating lap upon lap upon lap, and at some point you get into a rhythm, and all of a sudden the tenths start falling and falling and falling. So it's a really nice track where you have to get used to it at first, but then as soon as you're in that rhythm, you can go so quickly, and it's just a really nice thing about this kind of track, because it's, you know, you messed up one lap time, oh well, you're just going to come around the next hairpin and you're going to be in the next lap already to try again.
Yeah, so they've got Lorenzo Lutricuzi, currently running P8, as a certain Mr. Sedgley decides to go up a position into P7. So the times, they are coming down. That's Dan Sedgley, 15th in the overall run of things. Looks like Joe Viglioni has pulled it into the pit lane and is currently running 6th. Igor Wazowski still leading the way and has improved, but Zoltisek is 15 thousandths behind. Then you got Leonardo Passoni, who was 7th. Is like, you see the top 3. We'll make that 48 thousandths of a second. Someone's had a code brown and a lock-up into Grundig. Oh, and has found the barriers coming out of Grundig. So definitely a bit too trigger-happy on the throttle.
And I mean, even with traction control, you obviously always try to run it as low as possible, since, you know, it does kind of take away your momentum. So you do always try to have like this tiny bit of acceptable wheel spin. You run it lower, you run it lower, you run it lower. Maybe even do a little bit of a power slide, and up to a certain degree, that's even maybe a little bit faster. But well, you're at the Norisring, you're at a street circuit. You hit a bump wrong, and all of a sudden the differential goes, oh right, power, put it all down now, interrupt everything, and the tires are just going, wait, what? And then there's the wall.
Yeah, well, Igor Wazowski has just gone and put in a 48.179. Zoltisek 2nd, 76 thousandths back. Leonardo Passoni, top 3 covered by 84 thousandths. Thomas Cope looking to improve. He's currently P4 ahead of Joel Lask, who last qualified in 13th position. So glancing so close to the wall, heading into the first right-hander, then into the left at the exit of the Schiller S's, and there's the infamous wall. Zoltisek, I think, just tagged it and might have just put a little bit of damage on his car. Thomas Cope, I mean, a 5.6 litre Nissan V8 is nothing to be sniffed at. It's even better, folks. If you haven't got your tickets, head to simracingexpo.de to get your tickets now, because you'll see one of these at Asetek Simsports and they'll fire it up. Just watch out for the burning in your eyes courtesy of unburnt racing fuel.
I mean, it's not too loud. You get used to it after the third or fourth time, and you know.
When your eardrums have stopped bleeding, that is.
But yeah, I just have to concur. Like, these LMP3 cards are absolutely fantastic. A good friend of mine that I actually just recently was able to reconnect with through sim racing, you know, plugging that in quickly, how we are all one big family, one big community, all networked together. He actually taught me how to race in real life when I was 13, so when I was learning with auto slalom and stuff. And he was a GT Masters driver, and in the last couple of years, also like racing on the Nürburgring, during the 24 hours and all that stuff. It was GT3 for quite a while, and then did LMP3 I think the last 2 years, and pretty much just went, okay, GT3 is cool, but LMP3 is just way better. You know, you have more downforce, less weight, pretty much a little bit less power, maybe, you know, depending on the BOP of the car you're driving at the time. But, you know, power to weight ratio is completely different. And these things, of course, because it's a big, you know, displacement V8, they have over 500 Newton meters of torque.
Well, we're coming down to the final 50 seconds in Group 1 qualifying here at the Norisring for round 1 of the 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Live and direct on the ADAC SimRacing Expo Twitch and YouTube channels. And Igor Wazowski still leading the way, but only by 11 thousandths of a second ahead of Leonardo Passoni. Then we've got Rafael Solsek rounding out the top 3, followed by Thomas Cope, Dan Sedgley, Joel Lask. Then we've also got Alexandre Forel, who qualified 19th. Joe Viglione in 8th place. And then Lorenzo Luticusi. I hope I'm getting that surname right. If not, just tell me otherwise. Oscar Soplic rounding out the top 10. And they are covered by just under 0.6 of a second. Checkered flag is out for the session. Leonardo Passoni crosses the line, go and stays second, does he? Yep, doesn't improve. So it's going to be Igor Wazowski that is going to be leading the way from pole position. He's just come out of the Schaleresses and heading towards Düssenteich. Of course, the Düssenteich River is where they are. Wazowski decides to lock up the brakes. Someone else had just gone for a spin. We'd also had Pariwat Chotarayapat qualify 13th in this race, 35th in the overall scheme of things. But, well, straight away, our fastest driver in the top 40 after the time trials, Igor Wazowski, is going to start from pole position for this first of two 20-minute races. Of course, this is going to be a very, very different community trophy. It is same equipment, different circuits. The final one, no one has an iota of an idea. Even myself and Nicholas Hilbrand don't have an idea. But Nico, pretty close qualifying session. Kimi Hoyer rounding out the top 11, covered by just under 7.5 tenths. But Wazowski and Passoni, 11 thousandths apart. I think we could see a lot more of close qualifying later on this season.
You know, I think in motorsports we tend to have this moment where we just like, how would you say it? We casualize these numbers, you know, 11 thousandths of a second. I mean, okay, yeah, that is quite close, but try to picture how much like that actually is, because I think, what was it, like blinking with your eyes is like it's like 2 or 3 tenths. So over 2.3 kilometers, 11 thousandths of a second, that is insanely close. And honestly, even the top 13, just barely over a second, all of them in that gap, you know. Sure, over one lap, that is quite a difference. But you have to remember, of course, for this upcoming race now, we will have the absolute wonderful thing called slipstream, where you will constantly be dragged along by the car in front of you. So as long as you just keep it tidy through these two hairpins and the S-curve, you can just try and keep with them as much as you want.
Yeah, but then there's also getting a bit overcommitted, giving it the berries on the throttle pedal coming out of the two hairpins. That's the biggest conundrum that the drivers have to really get their heads around. And some of the drivers were still trying to learn the subtle nuances of the Norisring. You know, it's got painted white lines and, as I said, tarmac that just really is not conducive to how an LMP3 prototype car would run, because as Nico said, there are cars. One of my good friends, Maxim Didix, runs in the ADAC Prototype Cup Germany, which does run LMP3 class cars, and it's a wonderful series. Had a lot of entries last year. So, yeah, we are just patiently waiting for things to move around to our first 20-minute race. Top 10 will go through to the points paying final. Now this is where it gets interesting. I'll try and see if I can. I'm going to bring up the sporting regulations, courtesy of Mr. Dan Terry. Well, here we go. It's going to be, you know what? We're going to get things underway here for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, because the drivers are lined up on the start-finish line. 20 cars ready to go racing for 20 minutes amidst the banks of the Dutzenteich here in Nürburgring. And it's going to be Wazowski that's going to lead from pole position. And listen to all that V8 power, Nico. It sounds great, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Over 4,500 horsepower assembled here, accumulated from all of the cars here, of course. And I can't wait to see them all put that power down on the road and make good use of it.
Yeah, so we are waiting with bated breath, with anticipation. And when the lights go out, we will be underway for the first time out of 5. The revs start to build as the drivers are eager to put their right foot flat down on the floor here at the Norisring. Established back in 1972, and it's just a shade over 2.1 kilometers long. Expect plenty of laps, expect plenty of dive bombs, and very close quarter battling. These LMP3 cars could look very, very different come the end of this 20-minute race. So it sounds like the revs are building, and I'm on tenterhooks. You and I have been waiting for this for quite a long time, Nico. I think when you have the likes of Wazowski, who put it on pole position in that qualifying session, as long as he gets away, the others are going to have a difficult task to try and get through, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's always a bit of a pressure point as well if you came in pre-qualifying as the fastest guy, but I think Wazowski basically proved that he's a force to be reckoned with. Qualifying, putting it on top as well, and here come the lights.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to let these drivers loose. The 6 lights ignite here at the Norisring, and Group 1 race here for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy is go! And now it's a run down in towards Grundikara for the first time. Wazowski leads the way, Zoltis. Oh, there's a few dive bombs happening already, locking up under brakes. There's a bit of a melee, and a few cars come together, and oh, that Solstek spun around. Solstek suffers drama on the opening corner, and Wazowski pulls away. Joel Lask manages to negotiate all the madness in front of Grundikara as they come out of the shoulder resses for the first time.
Oh, more carnage.
Oh, dearie me. First Grundikara, now the shoulder S's. Well, we did say this was the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy, and those couple of initial incidents have just proved it.
Yeah, it's, of course, you know, very, very difficult when, as long as everyone's close together, you quickly run out of space here as well. We saw in qualifying how close they get to the walls, and we also saw how, you know, quickly you actually hit those walls. So if you hit those walls while you're alongside with someone, and then you have that contact, get flung into them. You know, the contact model in That, of course, is very merciless, and of course, then very quickly you can get spun around.
Yeah, well, good start by Pariwat Chacharyapats, who's now moved up into 8th behind Alexandre Forel. Then they've got Joe Viglione, Thomas Cope, and Dan Sedgley in front, but Igor Wazowski has gotten ahead and has got a 2-second advantage after the opening lap. Forel just trying to get a bit closer to Viglione coming out of Dusenteich, and that's the very flat-out run down the main start-finish straight here. And Wazowski onto lap number 3, nearly 2 seconds up the road from Joel Lask. Leonardo Passoni rounds out the top 3 as well. Alexandre Forel late on the brakes and straight lines it at Grundig-Kercher.
I think both he and that car ahead of him, they got very, very lucky. That was quite literally threading the needle between those two.
That was very much also Code Brown at the same time as well, whilst you think about it.
Oh, yeah, very uncomfortable when you miss your braking point even slightly. You see in that bumpy braking zone for the Grundig-Kercher how quickly you can lock up, and of course you're still slightly turning through there, depending on the cars that you're actually driving. You either brake already straightened out, or you brake just on that bumpy stuff, or when you're in the kink a little bit. So it's, yeah, never a very fun idea of going through that and then having a big lockup. But Forel actually not discouraged from trying another move. Bit of a lockup again, but this time looks for the outside, maybe to try and straighten it out earlier. Leaves the inside a little bit open for Zoltis, who's very, very keen on doing a big recovery drive here after that very unfortunate turn 1.
Yeah, Zoltis closing in on Alexandre Forel for 8th place. Chacharyappat keeping very, very nicely in 7th place, having started down in 13th. So a gain of 6 spots for the driver that qualified, folks, 35th. And this is the reason why the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy exists. It's about to promote talent, and it doesn't matter where you've qualified. What's more important, can you put points on the board? And this first race is nearly a quarter of the way through. Wazowski has got a lead of 3.1 seconds ahead of Joel Lask, Leonardo Passoni, Dan Sedgley, Thomas Cope, Joe Viglione. They round out the top 6, but Thomas Cope really pressurising Dan Sedgley coming out of the Challeresses, and Sedgley nearly tags the right rear on the wall on the outside, coming up onto the high bank curbing.
And Sedgley is one of those guys that did profit a little bit from the start chaos, so he's going to be very, very keen on defending his position here. You know, obviously these two are racing in one of those nicer positions where they don't have too much pressure to make up spaces. But of course, you know, Thomas Cope, he started in 4th place. He's going to want to get his place back, as he now has. But can he actually keep it around? Will he get done in by a switchover? No. Gets it done.
Alexandre Forel gets through on Rafael Zoltisek. And that is a change for 8th. So Forel back exactly where he was just a few moments ago. Lorenzo Luticrusi gets through on Oscar Soprich, and well, that's the drivers that qualified 27th and 23rd in the time trials. So quarter of the way through, and Wazowski leading the way, new fastest lap by the race leader, and we're on to lap number 7 with 14 minutes and 55 seconds to go. And Wazowski, I think, at this rate, you and I both know this, Nico, that when you race around the Norisring and you've got lap times around 48 seconds, invariably, lap traffic comes into play at some point.
Yeah, especially if they're damaged, because we have this short lap, but of course you need all the grip you can get. You know, you have to put all of the power down properly. You have to have all of your turning ability for the quick S-curves, of course, and of course you need proper mechanical grip for the hairpins. So, you know, especially with bigger incidents happening with, you know, for example...
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah, that was a big hit on the wall, but honestly, I think he still recovered it quite well and still keeping going quite nicely. But back to the point quickly, like, a quick spin, you know, at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit or something, you know, you have like a 1 minute 50-second lap with these cars, or like a bit below that, I'd say. But that's only a 15-second time loss, for example. Around here, it's a third of the lap that you lose.
Yeah, shout out to sediment _ experience on YouTube. This is awesome. Wish I could find these LMP3 more mods. Well, Alejandro Aviles. Hi guys, I'd like to buy Pete. Oh dear, who was that just hit the wall? Was that Chattara? Oh, Chattara's dropped.
Chattara Yafat, yes.
Oh,
that's a
dearie
huge
me.
shame. Was in a really good position. I think he was in
7th.
Seventh, and had actually started in 13th. So one of the biggest winners from the start. And yeah,
there she blows is all I'm going to say on that one. That's a real shame for Chattara Yapa. But if Bariwat can get back into the top 10 by the checkered, gets through to the final. But that depends on how much damage. Oh! Saltisek spins it in front of Farrell, who narrowly avoids, and Saltisek is being swamped. And that could mean Saltisek might be down into 11th place very shortly as Lutrikiusi goes round the outside of the entrance into the Chalaresses. The pair make contact coming out of the left-hander, and Saltisek also drops out of the top 10. Big dramas before the halfway point of this opening race out of 3 tonight.
yeah, absolutely. A little bit off topic, but I did have to chuckle a bit. Lutrichu actually has the logo of an R-Factor 2 league on his car.
Oh dear.
I just spotted that by the side. Virtual Endurance Championship.
Oh, the VEC, yes. Yes, indeed. I actually got approached one time to possibly be part of their commentary team, and I was so busy at the time, I said, well, unfortunately, guys, no can do. But that's how the cookie crumbles. You just never know. Here's the battle between, well, this is Brad Smith, who's definitely getting an opportunity to move up the order. And I think is that Chattara just behind?
Yes. He just made that move stick, I think. And yeah, Chattara Payats, I think, just slightly got out of his rhythm, and especially after one of those spins, you know, you have to find some time to find the rhythm, and as we almost 4 wide. We're now 2 by 2 in the checkered pattern. Now it's 4 wide into the hairpin. And
oh my! Oh, there's gonna be this touch and this contact and they still made it through out of Grundigkara. Mamma mia! And Saltisek is back up into 9th place. Could this be 8th? Well, he's trying to get past Kimi Hoyer through the Chalaresses. Might get the switch back. Goes round the outside. Nearly tags the wall. It's 3 wide on the run down to Ditzentage. And, well, Zoltis drops down into 10th. This is crazy. What we're playing at the moment, Alejandro Avias, is Assetto Corsa. Zoltis gets through on Hoyer around the outside, onto the start-finish straight. 10.5 minutes to go. Oh, there's plenty more fuel in the tank here, folks.
And you can see Saltisek trying to decide between... I was going to say between attack and defense, but then there's quite a lot of attack there from behind. My goodness, that was both of them completely missing their braking and somehow making that work.
Oh, this is really going to be an entertaining 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. And this rumble of the naturally aspirated V8s is just like, loving it, you know.
I absolutely get what you mean. Like, I'm more of a guy who loves screaming engines, like the early 2000s F1 cars or the V12s, you know. But there is something truly special, you know, when you hear these in real life, or generally when these cars drive past you in real life, you can feel your organs vibrate in your body, and that's just something else.
That's very true. That's very, very true indeed. Zoltisek still on the fringes. Zopich trying to get through. Now they're going to go into the Chalaresses. Zoltisek, you nearly glanced that wall towards the approach into the Chalaresses, but still keeps it pinned to the inside. Zopich nearly got a bit tail happy coming out of the left-hander, but great battle here for P10.
And they're just constantly swapping back and forth and back and forth. And you have to give the respect as well. You know, these guys racing on the absolute limit, 100%. However, they're also completely fair. They're leaving, absolutely just the bare minimum of space, but they're leaving the space. And as Fernando Alonso once said, you always have to leave the space.
Oh, the lock up from Soprich. Soltisek back through for 10th place. And who's that? Brad Smith in the background there. Just about a second off of this battle. And Wazowski still again doing the best laps of anybody. 48.103. Oh, Zoltisek's on the bubble. 8 minutes 20 to go. We're on lap 15. And as I said, the top 10 go through into the they'll have a little bit of a respite, get some hydration down their necks. And maybe might put a few practice laps in if they get the opportunity to do so. But Thomas Cope trying to close in on Joel last. This is for the bottom part of the top 3. So we've got battles up and down the order, Nico. This is absolutely awesome. A great way to kick off the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. And Andre and the team in Denmark, hope you're all keeping well. Looking forward to seeing you all in October.
Yeah, absolutely. Asetek, they just bring so much spirit to the event. And it's just absolutely awesome to see, last year they had so many simulators there where you could actually try out all of their products. You could actually touch and look at everything, how it felt in your hand. And that's always, it's one of these things that is just more special than just buying something online. Simply because you can touch it, you know what it feels like, how, just in general, like the craftsmanship on it is, before you actually have to try it out in person when it arrives at your place. And I think especially for that, the SimRacing Expo is just absolutely fantastic because you actually do get to see, hey, I want to do an upgrade for my sim rig soon. Let's have a look what kind of hardware is around there.
True. I am just getting word that we are hearing that Group 2 qualification is about to start very shortly. So, yeah, I mean, this has just been an epic way to start things off. Zoltisek and Soprich still battling away over 10th place, but Brad Smith now makes it not just 2's company, but 3's a crowd. Now we get the picture-in-picture. So there's Thomas Cope battling away with Joel Lask. And Zoltisek heading down into Grundigkerra. So we've only got about 6 minutes still to go. But, oh, this is getting a bit brave there. Cope's got through on last for P3, but they're going to be nearly side by side down the start-finish straight. It's going to be the run down to Grundigkerra. Thomas Cope will have the inside line. Joel Last keeps it pinned to the outside. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? Cope gets through, facilitates the move. That's third.
It's a really, really nice, basically picture book-esque move down the inside. Basically get around easier on the inside, put the power down, just leave your opponent in the dust, while still leaving them space, and actually with a really good run for the S-curve and now to Lautsitzring, just absolutely put some distance in between that. That's the one thing that you always have to keep in mind. As soon as you get one of those hairpins, you have to get that power down as quickly as possible, get as much of a gap as possible, so you're not vulnerable for the next hairpin.
Yeah, that's very true there, Nico. It's just going to be a case of seeing what's going to happen over the next 5 minutes. Because anything's possible. Lock up from Soltisek. He's closing in on Kimi Hoyer for 9th. And Soprich still isn't letting go of that 10th place.
Yeah, I think that's for him a bit of consolation, still getting through to the final. Simply because, he did qualify on 3rd place and just insane bad luck on his side, to be involved in that turn 1 collision at the very exit of the corner. So just before he starts accelerating, there's no weight on the rear. The car just goes around on him and nothing he could do there, really. So I think he's just focused on just getting into the final here now, after this round, of course, and, maybe pick a couple places up in the meantime, give some racing action.
Yeah, exactly. Qualifying for Group 2 has started around about 3 to 4 minutes ago, so we may be quickly into another race. To be honest with you, But the thing is, I mean, this banshee screaming noise is incredible. On board with Rafael Zoltisek, who still is holding on to that 10th place. Might want to put Kimi Hoyer into the drop zone or the danger zone. That's always the case whenever you talk about F1 qualifying. Zoltisek nearly glances the wall coming out of the left-hander through the shutter S's. As we are on lap 21 with just under 3.5 minutes to go. And still, they are still, look, it's in for a penny, in for a pound. These three battling over 9th, 10th and 11th are just literally just going hammer and tongs, whereas Igor Wazowski is just literally calmly getting on with the race like it was a Sunday afternoon driving the countryside here in Nürburgring.
For him, it was quite an upside. You know, he really profited from the start there. He got attacked from both sides before turn 1. And then, as if, you know, he was Moses parting the Red Seas, he parted the carnage around him and was like, okay, guys, see you at the finish line.
Well, we were talking about Moses and the Red Seas when I was talking about my commentary antics this weekend at Karting Genk. Well, folks, I am still in Belgium at the moment, and I was waiting for Moses parting the Red Seas and bringing out the 10 Commandments. But we are coming down to the final few moments of this opening race of the Community Trophy for 2024, brought to you in association with Asetek Simsports. 2.25 minutes to go. Wazowski has got a lead of 5.5 seconds over Leonardo Passoni. Thomas Cope looking very strong in third, having got past Joel Lask. Dan Sedgley, Joe Viglione, Alexandre Forel, Lorenzo Lutriciusi, Kimi Hoyer and Rafael Zoltisek being the last driver in the top 10. Zoltisek on the offensive into the next corner, into the left-hander and gets round the outside. Zoltisek powers through the corner and does a number round the outside, does an M&M on Kimi Hoyer. That's the move of the evening so far.
And now Soprich is looking from behind as well. Last time in turn 1 he came in with super ultra late braking. If you watch Initial D, you'll get this reference, and actually makes it past Kimi Hoyer as well.
And hip checks him, gave him a little love tap on the side of the car whilst going through. Oh dearie me, Kimi Hoyer has not got long left, probably about 2 or 3 laps left to go, not even that, to try and make it back into the top 10. If Hoyer doesn't make it through, he's out of the running. So at the moment, Wazowski, Passoni, Cope, Last, Sedgley, Viglione, Forel, Lutriciusi, Zoltisek and Soprich are the 10 that are set to go through into the points final. But there is your race leader. And this looks to be, it's going to be final lap underway. 34 seconds on the timer. Igor Wazowski breaks the timing beam and brings us on to what will be, I'm sure, the final lap of this race, and has done an absolutely sterling job. From lights out to checkered flag, whilst all the melee happened behind the number 33, running in the KCMG colours. The team run by Paul Ip over in Hong Kong. 4, 3, 2, 1. That is it. Time's expired. And Wazowski is going to power out of Dutzendteich. What is going to be the 25th and more than likely the last time. Here we go. Final lap is now being showcased. One more tour to go. Checkered flag is out. Wazowski wins Group 1. Passoni is going to finish in second. As we're going to wait for the rest of the field to come across the line. And, well, unfortunately, you mentioned Kimi Hoyer earlier on. He's not going to make it through, Nico. He's going to be out. 1.3 seconds behind Oscar Soprich, the driver that qualified 23rd out of 40 for this event. But Igor Wazowski has done a really, really good job. Rafael Zoltisek is right with Lutriciusi coming out of the final corner. That's the run to the line for 8th. And Lutriciusi gets it by a whisker. Zoltisek has to count his lucky stars on that one. Wow, what a start to this year's Asetek Simsports Community Trophy right here at the virtual recreation of the Norisring.
Yeah, and as I said, there's going to be quite some chaos in the middle because it goes from ultra wide to, 4x3, taking it in screen measurements, to describe width very quickly at this track. And, despite it all, these guys, they were all very sporting, I think. Was a very fun race to watch for sure. And especially with, this surprise 4 wide moment. I think that's just one of those moments that really only the Norisring can bring.
Well, we've had a big thank you to Ryan Gill, who is behind the cameras and the broadcast for tonight. Big thank you to him for helping us bring the madness of 5.6 litre Nissan V8s to Norisring. We've just got the results through, so let's take you through the top 10 that are going through. Seed 1 out of 40. Igor Wasowski is going to go through to the points final, along with Leonardo Passoni, Thomas Cope, Joel Lask, Dan Sedgley, Joe Viglione, Alexandre Forel, Lorenzo Lutriciusi, Rafael Zoltisek, and also Oscar Soprich. So that means the likes of Kimi Hoyer, Brad Smith, and Pariwat Chotarayapat will not be taking any further part in tonight's proceedings. Well, I'm a bit shell-shocked. I've been commentating on karting all weekend long, and then I remembered, Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. LMP3s. Sorry, I sound like Homer Simpson wanting a donut to ride around about now.
But LMP3s.
It sounds like I'm making them a little snack rather than a race car. What am I playing at? It's been a long weekend. Sorry, folks.
2 a.m. in the morning, Alex wakes up. No. LMP3.
Don't start that. That'll set Luke Crane off. He'll go like, LMP3s. I said, don't you start. It was pedal fetishes a couple of years ago in 2021 at Nürburgring. I'm not going to take that. Luke Crane. No, don't worry. Luke's a good soul. But we are coming to the end of qualifying now for Group 2. And one of the drivers, that is Leon Harhoff, who is Leon Harhoff, who is seed 20 in this. And then we've also got the likes of Mats Windhausen, who qualified 10th overall. And we've got Grajan Bubolk, 18th in the qualifying side of things, currently P3. But Leon Harhoff putting in a 48.049. And there are the top 10. So we've also got Timur Kat, along with that Julius Wieser. Who else? Don Maynardo. Is that actually meant to be a pseudonym for Don Maynard? Because adding the O on that just makes it sound cheesy. David Partisai was 22nd, currently sitting in 7th, and that is ahead of a D Gerard. Then we've got Gilles Samui, and then Carl Palatini rounding out the top 10. So we are getting towards the end of this qualifying session. Once again, we'll have another 20-minute race. And what's more, we might be able to actually have a little bit of a breather before the final, because it has been... I thought my lungs were going to be okay, Nico. They have said otherwise. They've gone, computer says no.
Don't worry, if you need a breather, I can take over for a moment.
I know that.
But I'm quite looking forward to this second one as well. Leon Harhoff, one of the guys that I actually raced against before, and I would actually say he's probably one of the most proficient Assetto Corsa sim racers that we have in Germany. Basically from, multiple series and races, from the German Race Room Championship. That is already ages ago. I'm pretty sure that was back in 2020. Or even back in 2019 even. My goodness. Okay. And at the same time, also the Touring Car Revival series that had for a while a sim racing series as well, with all these older cars, with E30s, with the Mercedes, with the Ford Sierra RS 500, and on there he was also just brutally rapid. So I'm not surprised at all to see him at the moment here at the top. And he is in C20 in the end, but he's one of those guys, I think, who accomplishes his goal of, oh yeah, I've qualified for the event. I can just, wait with my true pace, with my full power, for the actual race day.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. So qualifying for Group 2, that will be race 2 of the evening. Race 3 is the final for round 1, and then we'll have a little bit of a hiatus. So Harhoff takes pole position, 48.049. That was ahead of Windhausen, Bubolk, Timur Kat. Then we had Julius Wieser, along with that Don Maynard. Yeah, the O's just a cunning subterfuge at the minute. So David Parzai rounds out the top 7, and then we've got D. Gerard, Gilles Samui, and also Carl Palatini rounding out the top 10, covered by a tenth of a second. So very shortly we will be going on to our second race of the evening, another 20-minute sprint around the Norisring. There has already been some chat in the Discord, where we have also Lorenzo Lutricusi. I am sweating. That's what sim racing does, especially when you're in in your own little bubble.
I mean, 100%. I mean, especially these guys are, they did run basically nose to tail across the line. So, even if both of them made it through, there's always this, okay, but I can't finish one more position up ahead. Or, of course, you want to decide your position up until the finish line. But that's one of these wonderful things in sim racing. And, well, I mean, to be fair, also something that real racing has adopted, the usage of Discord. I will find that forever funny. That for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, an LMP3 team, fittingly to the car we are using at the moment, got a penalty because they weren't in the right Discord channel at the designated time.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I
think they actually had to pay a couple €1,000 of a fine because they weren't in the Discord channel for the driver briefing.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. We are just waiting to go through to the next server. So again, another 20 drivers will be battling away for the top 10 positions, and thereby going through to the top 20 overall points final. So once we do get into the server, we'll get ready to go racing for another 20 minutes. So 60 minutes of total racing action here on the Asetek Simsports Community Trophies. Thank you so much to everyone that's decided to join us. And of course, there are more further announcements to come in the coming weeks and months. We're not that far away from the ADAC SimRacing Expo. We're effectively 3 months away from the event, the 18th to the 20th of October. What's more, there's going to be plenty to see and do. The latest tech in sim racing, the latest software, latest hardware, plenty of great panels scheduled, plenty of great guests from within every single aspect of sim racing. And what's more, I mean, Nico, the funny thing is, when I still remember when you and I met for the first time, finally, after 3 years of knowing each other, we finally meet in a LAN environment, and we had this is something we haven't really mentioned before, that I said to you, how are you feeling? And you said, pretty nervous, but a good nervous. Now that we're not that far away from your second adventure as part of the ADAC SimRacing Expo, I think this year's going to be a pretty good way to see the 10th anniversary out in style.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm still going to be nervous, but the good kind of nervous. But, it always helps that you have someone by your side who you've known for a while. We started commentating together at World Pro Racing, God knows how many years ago. Like before even the pandemic hit, didn't we?
Yes, yes. Had to give a shout out to the likes of former commentator for the ADAC SimRacing Expo, Jake Sperry needs a good mention.
Big
Also,
boy.
yes, indeed. He's a good guy. Also, have to give a shout out to the likes of Justin Mifsud, one of the guys
Nathan.
behind it. Yeah.
We gotta give a shout out to Nathan as well, because I fittingly randomly met him in a War Thunder match last night. Just out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness me. Oh. Yeah. But the red lights are starting to ignite here at the Norisring for the second race of the evening involving Group 2. It's Leon Harhoff on pole position. 6 lights are on. And they're underway. Lots of wheel spin from the rear end of all of these 20 cars heading down into Grundig for the first time, but a great start by Leon Harhoff, Bubog, Windhauser, Timur Kat, and it's 3 wide brakes, locking up left, right and centre outside of the top 5 as spin around. That was Visa. Julius Visa turned around. I don't know whether that was assisted as Leon Harhoff and Windhauser go side by side into the Chalaresses. Leon Harhoff manages to keep it pinned and retain the race lead for now.
And you can see immediately going for the defensive, and I think that might have been a little bit of contact there. Almost in the braking zone, but Jesus, this is a lot closer because we had a far smaller incident there in turn 1, so everyone else is just bunched up. Now everyone's in the slipstream lane behind Harhoff down the front straight. Windhausen rapidly going out of the slipstream for the outside for turn 1.
Close.
And they actually make it 3 wide for a moment, and then a little bit of side contact again, and once again someone goes around.
Bubog's gone round. Oh dearie me, the person that was in 4th place making it 3 wide has just done the old Booker T Spooneroonie at the opening corner. Well, there's a wrestling reference and a sim racing competition for you. Hey ho, there we go. But there it is, Declan Gerard, who is the driver that we were trying to identify. As I said, not everybody has been conducive with giving their real names for this competition, but we want to make sure that your name is out there. It doesn't matter whether you're Strawberry Queen 91, Kelvin Ater, V. Brill, V. Brill, that was the 14th place driver out of 40. But Leon Harhoff already ahead of Timur Katz has got a 1.7 second advantage. Mats Windhausen.
And Kat is around, that was P2.
Oh dear. And, well, at least the good thing is, Julius Visa might be counting his chickens before they... Well, might be counting his lucky stars, not his chickens before they hatch. I'm getting my words crossed up tonight, which is quite entertaining for me, you, and the folks at home.
Yeah, honestly, like, I'm starting to get this... how would you say, this sort of sixth sense that the Grundig-Kehre is sort of kryptonite to anyone who tries to challenge Leon Harhoff. It's 3 times in a row now out of the lead group that we come out of the Grundig-Kehre, someone gets turned around or turns himself around. Okay, lap 2, another one. Lap 3, another one. Are we having one again? Okay, first time for everything. There we are.
It's like that running gag. It's like, there's one, there's another one, and you're like, this is not going well, is it?
Minor inconvenience.
Yes. For English, press 1. For Spanish, press 2. For any other language that you can fathom, press 3. In that respective order. Gilles Samouy in the in the 5th place car, trying to close in on Declan Gerard, who's 1.7 seconds off of Don Maynard. But Harhoff and Windhauser lead a German 1-2 on Nürburgring soil here at the Norisring. But yeah, everyone seems to be really starting to improve, really starting to get a measure of the track. We ride on board in the cockpit with Samouy in the 5th place car, and you can hear it. Wait for it, coming out of the left-hander, 2nd gear, up the gearbox we go, pedal to the metal, 3rd gear, 4th, short shifting there. Rev limiter, 5th, hard on the brakes, down all the way to snail's pace. You can see the speedo increase. They're going to be pushing north of about 230 kilometers an hour. That's over 150 miles per hour down the start-finish straight, and then you've got to have stones of steel to brake late going into Grundigkehre, and a little bit of puff of smoke from Samui's left rear tyre coming into Grundigkehre, but still keeps it very much tracking true. Timur Kat battling away with Gracian Bubolk for what is 8th on the road. Julius Wiese rounding out the top 10. But some really close battles at the moment. Maynard closing in on Windhauser. Windhauser is nearly 3.8 seconds behind Harhoff, who is just literally... he's a bit like a Deutsche Bahn train. Once he goes, you can't stop him.
I mean, I would say that Leon Harhoff generally performs more reliably than the Deutsche Bahn, but let's not go there too extensively.
Don't ask Danny Juicer about that. Hi, Danny.
I mean, I've got plenty of own experiences of, oh yes, the train got cancelled. Cool, I need to go to my flight at Frankfurt Airport. Well, that is too bad for you. Cool. Anyhow, one thing that I quickly wanted to touch upon, while Leon Harp is flying away at the front, you know, despite his spin very early on in the race, Julius Wiese, very good pace in the meantime from him. Like, Harp is running low 48s at the front, and actually the similar pace to that was actually seen earlier from Wiese as well, 48.2, 48.3, like Harp at the front. So I am wondering, you know, you will get through to the final with this 10th place finish, obviously.
Yeah.
So I am wondering if the final start, you know, goes a bit nicer. You know, we'll have our wonderful race 1 winner, of course, Masowski. But we'll probably have Harv as he's, you know, slowly but surely pulling away. But then we'd have Wiese as well, who hopefully survives it as well. I think we would have a very, very fun three-way fight for the points, for the lead points and positions there.
Yeah, very much the case. As the battle for 4th, Gerard versus Samui keeps on trucking. 0.4 of a second as they come out of Dutzenteich. Just under 13.5 minutes to go. About half a second between them. And one of the things I'd love to see is how fast these cars are reaching on the run down to Grundigkehre. You know, if we can, I'd love to see it on board of the lap from Gilles Samui from probably the next lap around, because we're going to get a real good onboard shot battling away with Declan Gerard in 4th place. But Harhoff leads by 4.6, 4.7 seconds at the moment after the opening 8 laps. We're on lap number 9. But yeah, again now through into Dutzenteich. Little bit of a lock up for the right front of Samui. Brake disc glowing bright red. Great to see a lot of activity in on the YouTube chat at the moment. Oh, glove pup, Paul Glover has jumped in. A man who also joined me along with Corby Hubenbauer. We actually had the final of the Community Trophy back in 2021 at this circuit. We had the 964 Carrera Cup cars, and then we put old school DTM, and everyone chose the bleeding Mustang because everyone wanted a fast car. And yeah, it got a bit tasty, let's say, when the Mustangs were roaring around the circuit here at the Norisring, and that was on Race Room.
I mean, of course, you know, like, everyone loves the Fox Body Mustang. It has a rigid axle rear suspension, so basically there's sort of no bump absorption at all, but it does put the power down. How it puts it down, you know, that's not up for discussion. It's just there. But yeah, like, definitely one of the most fun experiences you can have in Race Room with that car, and especially around here, because it's just straight and the Mustang works, and then there's a corner, and yeah, it certainly does something then. But so far, you know, we're almost at the halfway point. Gilles Samui all over the back of Declan Gerard, not quite making a move there. Is he maybe biding his time a little bit, I'm wondering? Because he has a comfortable gap to the back. Partly is 1.5 seconds back. Well, now 1.9. with a bit of a worse exit out of the last corner. But Samori could be biding his time here, basically just try to keep on edge, try and fake a little bit, play a bit of mind game, or just send it down the inside like this and
All contact! Oh, that's not going to buff out there.
Both of them very lucky though, neither of them spun around. And I think I should shut my mouth about strategy or tactics or anything regarding the race happening, because I feel like I'm going to commentator's curse everyone.
Hey, look, I don't believe in the commentator's curse. I believe in fate of circumstance. Lewis McGlade would back me up on that wholeheartedly, because he's one who's exactly of the same mentality. I think Zach Sweeney is as well. So there's quite a few of us casters or commentators, whatever you want to call us out there. I've heard people call me worse names than that. But yeah, just incredible with the fact that Samui just trying to go toe-to-toe and again just brushing with those hard steel corrugated steel barriers. They will not shift because there are concrete pillars behind them, and I have seen it. I saw multiple of the ADAC GT4 Germany cars, some of them flirting with the wall so much coming out of the Shuttle S's that not only did they scrape paintwork, they also took off a few wing mirrors in the meantime.
I think my favorite thing there was someone flirting so much that the barrier didn't flex. The bodywork before the rear wheel, however, did, and then the rear axle did as well. So, yeah, that was a bit more difficult to carry on after that.
Yeah, so we're coming up. We're just under 9 minutes to go in this second race. The top 10 will go through to the points final a little bit later on. But more to the point, Grajan Bubolko gets a hip check. That was from Partse, I believe. Or was it? Yeah, it was Partse who was right with him. It was like literally, oh, bang. I need to steer to the left.
That was his best Robert Kubica at Le Mans impression there. Luckily, it didn't end as badly.
You went there, Nico. You went there.
I mean, you have to draw the comparisons when they present themselves so obviously.
Yeah, but the problem is, don't speak to Dries Van Toor about it. He will definitely not give you any joy whatsoever.
I mean, I believe that. He didn't really have any joy at that moment either.
No. Just quite a few expletives, bless him. The younger brother of Lawrence Van Toor, both avid sim racers in their own right, but this is a real good battle. This is 4th, 5th and 6th. So Gerard, Samui and Bobolk competing over 4th place coming out of the final corner. And it's the run down to Gundichkerher. These 5.6 litre V8's just absolutely howling at full velocity. Lock up from Samui. Oh, that's going to allow Bobolk up the inside through Grundig. But Samui keeping it pinned around the outside, gets the traction and slots in front of the 6th place car. Nice work there.
Yes, Gerard locks up, Samui locks up. Bobolk doesn't quite lock up, but not quite in striking distance either. I think now it's just all about to see, well, one, who can stay within this half a second rhythm, basically, that they're pretty much in striking distance when they arrive at the next hairpin, and two, to not make a mistake.
True.
And that is quite easily said, far easier said than done.
Yeah, that's very, very true. As, well, at the moment, I'm seeing that Timur Kat and David Partse are closing in. As Bobolk round the outside at Grundig on Samui. Are they going to change places? Not quite, but they're going to go into the Shuttle S's. Bobolk up the inside, dives late up through and gets past Samui for P5. Brilliant stuff there. But Samui on the comeback trail gets a better run coming out of the left-hander through the exit of the Shuttle S's. Is going to hang around the outside and then get the inside line for Dusenteikircher. locks up under braking, tight on the apex, gets the power down, but misses out, and Timurkat is now reeling in Samui for that 6th place. Great battling here in the race for Group 2.
And we've got this collection of the guys that got unlucky at turn 1 before. So they are slowly but surely catching back up to the midfield pretty much. These also having made a place up again in the meantime. But, you know, these guys are... Oh, that is a Vienda.
Timurkat has just literally yeeted Samui up the back end and inadvertently turned himself around in the front end of the Timurkat car, has just whacked the barriers on the approach into the Chalaresses. Oh dear, that's not what you want, and I definitely think that Timurkat will not be on the Christmas card list of one Gilles Samui, who's now being chased down by the number 6 of David Partsay. 4th place coming across the line. 5 minutes to go, and Leon Harhoff leading the way by a whopping 7.2 seconds after 18 laps.
And, well, as I said, you know, he's just one of these guys that knows the simulator inside out. He's basically any car that I can think of in this sim, he's probably driven it. And, yeah, especially around the German tracks, you know, he's definitely very knowledgeable, incredibly fast. And,
I'm sorry to cut across you there, Nico, but with the tracks we've got, that sounds particularly ominous.
Quite. You know, Norisring, Nürburgring, Lautsitzring, Sachsenring, a lot of rings here. You know, it's...
No comment, and if anyone wants to get it twisted, keep that comment to yourself.
Leon Harhoff very much puts it in truth, you know? If he loves the track, he should have put a ring on it.
Oh dear, he'd be the sim racing equivalent of Beyonce on that one. Meantime, Bubot closing in on Gerard for 4th place. They both glanced the wall coming out of the Chalaresses as we're heading very, very quickly towards the end of time. Here as Bubot up the inside of Gerard through Dutzenteich, tight to the wall on the left-hand side of the hairpin and gets through. Great overtake there by Bubot to take 4th from Gerard, who's going to get the run down into Grundichera, pulls to the right-hand side, is going to get the side draft. Bubot will have the inside line for the opening corner and hip checks. But Gerard still gets through. Does he nail it on the apex? The answer is yes.
A very nice over and under attempt there as well. But my goodness, these guys, you know, of course they are racing to qualify, but you know, we've got 10 guys qualify for the final, so they're safe. But of course, these guys, and there comes Ribolch on the run back. No, they're still here to race, and that's one of those things that you just have to absolutely appreciate. And here you can get your elbows out, you can race as hard as you want, of course. You know, hard but fair. And, you know, you don't have to worry about carbon fiber being flung everywhere and having to pay the bill for it later.
Yes, there's no need to worry about an IOU invoice at that particular point. And you know what? One of the good things about Community, well, Alejandro Aviles has been asking for advice about PC setups, including 3070s, 3080s, and shout out to the community that has been involved in the chat for assisting to give the relevant advice. That's what I love about this community, that people are willing to give advice to those that are not 100% sure about what they need to have the optimum setup. However, we are coming down to the final 2 minutes, and this battle between 5th, 6th and 7th, that's Declan Gerard, Gilles Samoy and David Partey. They are covered by 1.6 seconds, so looks like we're going to have, I think, maybe the push 3 laps to go. So Harhoff on lap 23 out of a potential 25. Partey's brake disc glowing very, very brightly. Samoy touches the wall coming out of Grundichera on the right-hand side. This the CBD driver says, no brakes, Declan. Oh, that's a low blow, if ever I heard one. Gilles Samoy again flirting with the wall coming out of the Chalaresses through the left-hander. It's very nip and tuck trying to do that. But you see, let's just stay on board with Gilles Samoy for the moment. Coming out of Dutzenteich. starts accelerating. So we're getting the speed here in miles an hour. 135, 140 over the start-finish line. And up to 6th, 160 miles an hour before braking for Grundichkehrer. And some voices have been glancing against those walls like nobody's business. This has just been an enthralling couple of races so far. Folks, we've still got the final left to come here at the Norisring for the opening round of the ADAC SimRacing Expo Asetek Simsports Community Trophy for 2024 left tonight. And then we will be... Oh, that's Gerard! Declan Gerard's dropped! And he's dropped to 8th. Oh, dearie me. And I think, well, Leon Harhoff should be on the last lap of the race. 3, 2, 1, time expires as Partey up the inside of Samoy through Grundichkehrer. Samoy keeps away from the wall on that particular occasion. So let's see if we can catch up with our race leader. Leon Harhoff wins race 2 for, well, the second race of the evening for Group 2 and becomes the first driver to qualify for the points final. And you can add to that Mats Windhausen, Partey and Samoy side by side. That's into Dutzenteich. Still wheel to wheel. This is going to be close. Will Partey pip Samoy to the line for 5th place? It's going to be neck and neck, wheel to wheel photo finish. Half a 10th separate them at the flag. Great recovery by Julius Wiese up to 7th. Declan Gerard will take 8th with Carl Palatini and Timur Cat rounding out the 10 strong. So, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, are the first 2 races done, in the bag. Nico, I am speechless of how great this has actually been. These first 2 races, the Community Trophy very different from last year, but I think by putting it as a one-make series, same car, minimal setup allowances, as in more than likely fixed setup, but to put them at some really, really brilliant tracks is going to showcase who is the master or mistress of all.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe, He-Man. Who's He-Man?
Dolph Lundgren back in the 1980s. Sorry, I go way back, folks. I go way back. I'm showing my age again.
It's all okay, but yeah, my thought here is basically just who will basically keep it clean for the finals now. And sorry that it's gotten quite dark. I think there's a thunderstorm brewing up once again for the second time today. But we had some quite interesting racing, quite clean racing, more importantly, and that's always absolutely lovely to see. And yeah, I'm now just very curious. As I said, Julius Wiese, then Leon Harf, of course, and our race 1 winner, of course.
Yeah.
Who of these guys will be able to completely put it down? Will they be able to keep it clean as well? That is another part, because we saw a lot of fast guys making either a small mistake or getting tangled up with someone else. And yeah, that's the big question now. Who keeps it the cleanest?
It's the big €64,000 question that needs to be answered. And we have been told by the administration that qualifying is starting in about 10 minutes. So we've got the top 10, which from this race, and apologies for me looking upwards because I'm having to look at a second screen because that's where the lighting's come from, thank goodness, and even with the little gimbal with a couple of additional lights as well. So Leon Harhoff won that race ahead of Mats Windhausen. Then we had Don Maynard. I'm not adding an O to the back of that surname. No. You put it on your username. Give us your real name. There we go. Also, Gratian Bulbog did a really good job finishing in P4 ahead of David Partey in 5th, who pipped Gilles Samoy by what was it, half a tenth at the flag for P5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Julius Visa, solid comeback, had tumbled early in the race, and then all of a sudden, he's firing back on all cylinders. Jacqueline Gerard was very, very lucky indeed. Carl Palatini, and then the person that had the biggest moment in the Group 2 race was Timur Kat. Yeah, it's just one of those things whereby you have to look at it and go, this is not just about one evening of racing, it's 5. And so when we announce what the prizes are going to be through Asetek Simsports, I'm looking forward to hearing from our friends in Denmark as to what is going to be on the cards. But of course, with the product line that they have, Asetek Simsports always improves, evolves. They don't revolutionize the industry; they evolve on the technology that they use, and it's always a pleasure whenever we see Andre Eriksson in a suit with a freshly ironed shirt and a nice belt and a nice pair of tan dress shoes to go with that. For a lot of people that would say, oh well, some CEOs don't dress like CEOs. Andre Eriksson is a man that loves tradition, which is always a good thing. And chapeau to Andre and the team for what they continue to do in this industry. Of course, they're partnered with a man who's no longer going to be in Haas F1 team as of the end of this year, Kevin Magnussen. Valdemar Eriksson, also known with them as well through his antics in racing, through sim racing and also real life. And this year, I am definitely making sure that there is one resolution I'm going to do, which is to try out some Asetek Simsports gear. And the person who I want to be my guide, Alexander Zecker, who was our community trophy, our exhibitors race winner in Nürburgring in 2021. Alexander Zecker, I'm calling you out. I'll DM you on Twitter. Let's sort something out for the expo where I can try some of the Asetek products. Sounds like a plan, wouldn't you say?
Good resolutions for the new year.
Pre-New Year, maybe, you never know. It depends on what
the new
I might.
expo.
Yeah. So there's a lot of activity in the Discord at the moment. Reference the Community Trophy Discord chat. One person saying, "Oh, was it the top 5? No, top 10. Oh yes, I'm through."
Yeah.
So Declan Gerard going like, well, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and this is why we want to make sure that things in future for the Sim Racing Expo are further expanded when it comes to formats. At the end of the day, there may even be an opportunity where we get you, the community, to provide us with a format that you think might work. We can have a look at it, veto it, and if it works, you never know. We might do that. But there's so much that goes on at the Sim Racing Expo. This has been a lot of planning. Since October last year, the work with promoters Southwest Vision has been off the charts. And obviously, as my role has further expanded since last year. I mean, not just being lead commentator for the ADAC SimRacing Expo, but I'm proud to be part of the Southwest Vision team as head of communications. There is so much that I would love to tell you all right now, but I just can't. But I know for a fact that everyone that is going to be at the Sim Racing Expo this year, there is so much more that is going to be there in person. Like I said, over 60 different exhibitors, 60 different brands with us this year. And if you haven't already been keeping an eye on what our social media has been doing, where have you been living? Under a rock for the last 3 months or something like that? But there's so much going on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the community receives it. We've got over 50 members of the media that have applied for press accreditation. For those people who are media or press accredited, get in touch. You'll find the links on our social media for ADAC SimRacing Expo. Applications for press accreditation close on the 20th of September, 1 month before the event itself. But yeah, I think getting back to tonight's frivolities, not festivities, frivolities, because it has been action-packed, Nico.
Frivolities almost makes it sound dirty. But, luckily, instead of dirty...
Look, stop. Look, I know I'm saying long words on a Sunday night, but for goodness sake, stop twisting what I'm saying.
I was just going to say, frivolities may sound dirty, but we've had very clean racing here so far. As we touched on just now, with Declan Gerard very, very relieved in our Discord. I think he was really, really relieved there because, luckily the top 10 make it through to the final. And, he just got insanely unlucky, it's one thing, getting rear-ended in a hairpin or into the S-curve like it happened with Tibor Cat. But Declan Gerard actually didn't get hit by the actual car. There was just like a very, very, very unlucky bout of lag just in the middle there. So, obviously a very, very nice thing to see, him actually making it through, still having the chance to race in the final and, having the chance to gather some points for the first round here at the fantastic Norisring.
Okay, so we do have our 20 drivers that have qualified through this. So this is the 20 that have qualified. Igor Wazowski, Leon Harhoff, Leonardo Passoni, Mats Windhausen, Thomas Cope, Don Maynard, Joel Lars, Grajan Bubolk, Dan Sedgley, David Partse, Joe Viglioni, Gilles Samoy, Alexandre Forel, Julius Wieser, Lorenzo Lutriciusi, Daniel Spillane, Rafael Solsek, Carl Palatini, Oscar Zoprich, and Timur Kat. The last two were the lowest placed drivers in the top 10 of their respective races. So again, we are going to put them against each other. So a conglomeration between groups 1 and 2, and they've got to qualify. They have got to do a 20-minute race, and then we will find out who will be the winner and leading the way into round 2 of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy here on ADAC SimRacing Expo. And that will be in around about 3 weeks' time, 11th of August 2024 will be round 2, which, yes, is in exactly 3 weeks from tonight. And then we go to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and that's going to be a pretty good one in its own right. Of course, has been around since, not as long as the Nordschleife. The Nordschleife has been around for a very, very long time. Now, Mr. Hilbrandt.
Yes.
I take it.
Racing history? Yes. The Grand Prix circuit was basically built in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I think either 83 or 84 they held that big opening race. That was one of the big iconic moments where, one of the most well-known names in racing ever was able to shine through first time, Ayrton Senna, where they held the spec race with the same Mercedes for all drivers, and basically everyone was coupled up in one field, and then first came Senna, and then Lauda was right behind him, pretty much.
Yeah, it was the Mercedes 190E2 2.3 16 valve. Of course, that engine built in conjunction with Cosworth, if people might not remember, when the DFE was king in Formula 1, and it still is the most successful engine, the Ford DFE, the only engine that has been the most successful in Formula 1's north of 7 decades of competition. And now,
in fairness, that engine ran for 16 years, which would honestly be unheard of. Like it first ran in the very iconic Lotus 49 in 1967, was
Yeah.
still a bit unreliable there because they were pushing basically V12 levels of power out of a V8. And, had a couple of breakdowns. Then the chassis of the 49 also didn't really hold out too much because,
dear.
Colin Chapman of Lotus always ever so the weight saver. So the chassis broke down a few times. But when it worked, it was absolutely unbeatable. And, that entire project, started with 400 horsepower. I think later on they got to almost or even over 500 in the early 80s when they finally, segmented it out.
Yeah, exactly. We are waiting and standing by, reference our last race of this first round of the ADAC SimRacing Expo, Asetek Simsports Community Trophy for 2024. It really has been a pleasure having you all along with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and my partner in crime, Mr. Nico Hillebrand. We are really, really looking forward to seeing what is going to happen in the next race. So hopefully very shortly we will be able to see when the drivers get on for time qualifying. But 20 drivers, all very credible here, Nico. Anything's possible in this final race of the night for round one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting. We also have a couple of guys that, joining a little bit late. Probably taking a bit too long for their break in between the races. But, pretty much go for your... I don't know if I can say like a pre-race bathroom break, on stream, basically. And, weight saving and all that, it's all about the mental image for you to perform better. But we have everyone here now, and I think, especially after the first race, there's going to be some people who want to prove themselves to, be finishing stronger than they did in the first race. And of course, our winners and first place, second place, third place runners, they want to obviously perform in the same way as they did in the first round. So there's all sorts of different pressure, that is always there. And let's see how they handle it.
Yep, it is going to be an interesting one here at the Norisring for the points final for round 1 out of 5. Of course, the next round will be the 11th of August at the Nürburgring Sprint Circuit, aka a not so long version of the Nordschleife without the Döttinger Flugplatz, Fuchsrohr, and Brünchen, and a lot of corners that a certain Mr. Augusto Farfus a few years ago had difficulty pronouncing. Just ask Jörg Müller on that one. But yeah, I think this has really set a precedent. I love this format. I love the fact that we give everyone an opportunity to be in at least one race, and if you get through in the top 10, you're in the big finale. And we are just very soon, hopefully, going to go trackside at some point. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm running out of words here, Nico. I really am, because we are just waiting for the session to tick over to quali. But 2 great races, 1 to go. I think it's going to be the battle of Wazowski, Harhoff, Pazzoni, Windhausen. May even throw Thomas Cope, Joe Lask, Bubol could possibly in there. Any one of these 2 drivers, these 20 drivers, have an opportunity to get the win.
Yeah, not only that, we also had quite a few guys that did have, as I said, this unfortunate moment in race 1, a couple of spins, a couple of incidents, So especially, for example, someone like Julius Wiese, they're going to want to be proving, hey, I can fight with the big dogs as well. I can make it stick, so just let me at them.
Yeah, that's very, very true there, Nico, as we are underway with time qualifying. 10 minutes on the timer, and then 20 minutes to decide the winner of the opening round out of 5 before we head to the Nürburgring Sprint Circuit in 3 weeks for round 2. Riding on board on his outlap, Igor Wazowski, the winner of Group 1 earlier on for their 20-minute race, as he crosses the line at over 150 miles an hour and nearly hits 160. Well, it edges to about 162 on the speedo, heading into Grundig. So, Nico, why don't you give us all an indication of what a hot lap is here at the Norisring?
Well, most of the time your brakes are going to be screaming for mercy because you just reach these high speeds around here. Get up right to the wall as you exit the S-curve, and of course also getting a little bit of slipstream here. At the same time flashing a little bit, just away, just shy of the, oh boy, just shy of the sidewalk I was going to say, but also check your braking because he just spun himself onto the other sidewalk and into the back of the car in front, which is just not quite what you'd want. But yeah, here quickly with Leon Ahoff, once again just showing the nice approach to the S-curve. Very, very tight there as well, you know, so as soon as the gravel on the left side ends, you swing over onto the concrete bit instantly to get as wide of an angle into the corner as possible. Of course, every single corner is the fastest when you take it as straight as possible, so of course, try to take it from as far the outside as possible, almost brushing against the wall, and every single time here, you see that once again there from Ahoff, like right on the line, coming right next to the wall there, as he now starts his first flying lap for qualification here. Hard on the brakes, down into Grundigkehre. A bit of a late apex because you just want to accelerate as straight as possible. And actually, sorry, we didn't have the thing blended in earlier, but, you know, looking to improve on his first lap. Right now, 11 thousandths of a second, our magic gap that we had in the first qualifying session. Of course, being the gap right now from Ahoff to Passoni, and Bumauch actually quite quickly beating that after.
Yeah, top 16 rounded out by Gilles Samoi, covered by 1.4 seconds. There's Leonardo Passoni running in the, oh, I recognise that livery. That's the old Rebellion LMP2 split livery from a couple of years. Yeah, LMP1 livery. I remember that from a couple of years ago. Oh my goodness me. And also, a little bit of interesting, probably pointless trivia. Rebellion also do their own timepieces as well. Watches, in other words.
I mean, yeah, that is one of the... I mean, that is generally, I think, a product that we always have this association with. I mean, Ferrari has... I don't know if it's the same company, but there's also Ferrari watches. Actually...
Yeah, oh. Richard Mille, who do the watches for Ferrari. They're their official sponsor for both WEC and Formula One.
Yeah, so there we go, you know, like always. I mean, you can basically bring it back to, you know, back in the 60s, 70s when you didn't have digital timing yet, you know. You went there for pretty much all the test days and all that stuff. And it was all manual timing. You know, there was actual just people keeping with the timepieces and everything. The scoring was literally done by people actually tracking the single cars coming around for the circuit for every single lap of the Grand Prix. And back then the races were even longer than nowadays. So there's always this connection, I think, you know, Rolex as well, Tag Heuer, you know, all these timekeeper names are always in sports. Man,
well,
watching as these... Ooh, sorry?
Go on, you carry on for a second, sorry.
Well, yeah, watching as these guys all make it around the lap here. Alex, would you believe me if I told you that these LMP3 cars, they're pretty much faster than the GT3s, but would you believe me if I told you they are not the fastest cars that have raced around the Norisring in its history?
I would completely believe you on that front.
Yeah, in the 80s they actually raced Group C around here, and in the 70s they raced these Group 6 cars, and of course DRM Group 5. The big, you know, the BMW 320 Turbo, then, well, multiple other things, you know, Ford Capri Turbo, that's still run by Zaxpeed nowadays. Very, very many iconic race cars that raced around here, and yeah, as difficult as it is to believe, like, those cars were even faster. I think even with the same front straight as we have right now, I think the Group C cars were still pretty much reaching around 300 kilometers an hour, so pretty much 180 miles an hour.
Mamma mia. I think I'd have kittens if I was doing 186 miles an hour down the straight heading into Grundig. Oh my goodness me. You'd have to have stones of steel to do that.
I think ITC was faster as well, actually, because they also got to around 180 almost. Because they had a movable arrow and everything, so that was pretty much the peak of insanity that developed out of Group A, but then got killed because Bernie Ecclestone was like, yeah, no, it's too competitive against F1. And that is basically half of successful motorsports in the early 1990s. Quick history lesson, hooray!
Well, it probably didn't help that Alessandro Nannini was one of the Alfa Romeo works drivers and the famed high-screaming 155 V6 Ti. Now, for those uninitiated of you that wonder why did Alessandro Nannini end up in the DTM? Well, he was a helicopter pilot for a number of years when he was running in Formula One. And what happened? One of the rotor blades, unfortunately, severed his forearm. Meaning that he had an incident not too dissimilar in terms of nearly having a having one of his arms partially amputated due to an incident involving a type of machinery, whether it be rotor blade powered, or in Robert Kubica's case, it was on a rally in Italy in a Skoda Fabia.
Yeah, but still, luckily was able to reattach that. I mean, there's also quite a lot, like even like here in LMP cars and GT cars, we did have quite a few stories with drivers with handicaps. I mean, Frédéric Saucer raced at an LMP with an LMP2 car a couple of years back, and I think what was it? He didn't have legs and arms, and was actually still faster than the GT cars and the LMP2 cars. So quite impressive stories out of that.
Yeah, a true legend and a true inspiration to many, many people. As Timur Kat has now put it P3, but Wazowski, who was the winner in the race for Group 1, finds himself all the way down in 7th place. Oh, look at this, all 20 drivers, folks, covered by a fraction of a second, with Carl Palatini bringing up the rear of the field.
Okay, basically getting to ADAC GT Masters level of gap, where they had, what was it, I think 33 cars over 1.5 seconds. We have 20 cars within, well, almost within 1 second, so absolutely fantastic to see. I think this is going to be an, oh, that is a bad rejoin.
Clean up on aisle 3.
Say, yeah. Interesting.
Clean up on aisle 3, anybody?
Oh my goodness. That would have shit the entire front right off of that car.
True, true. Well, Zoltasek's doing pretty well at the minute. It's running P5, 3.3 tenths behind Leon Harhoff as Zoltasek nearly glances the wall on the right-hand side coming out of the shutter S's. And there is Harhoff. Right, let's ride on board with the man who won the Group 2 race. 138, 140. Not too sure.
Can't quite improve.
No, 47.992 for Leon Harhoff, but Grasham Bubolk is probably thinking, how on earth did I manage to get my car into P2?
Yeah, yes, speaking of which, since he's sitting in the pit lane, I think he's quite happy with that position. And probably counting that people won't improve too much, because of course, you're pushing on the limit on these tires, and at the end of a qualifying session, they won't be at their peak grip anymore. We have a couple of guys that still want to obviously get some running in, that want to get another couple of positions up. But here, with Leon Harhoff, we are straight in. And he has got his pole position provisionally, as Samui moves up to P10. Gets, I think, 2 or 3 places up, so very satisfying probably for him. But Wazowski, I think, with one last-ditch effort to try and improve, unless... the timer seems to be a bit odd there, so I think he might be already done.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see very shortly. Igor Wazowski, best effort so far. about 2/10 off of Leon Harhoff and goes straight into the bits. And it looks like the session has been curtailed. Leon Harhoff for the points finale. Oh, has put it on pole. That's going to be an interesting one in just a few minutes' time as we see these wonderful, wonderful tracking shots. There's the Zustenteich corner. Seen many a hip check in the DTM. So Leon Harhoff will start from pole position. Grajan Bubolk will start from second. Igor Wazowski with Rafael Zoltisek ran at row 2. Timur Kat and Leonardo Passoni will be on row 3. Then along with that, we have Mats Windhausen, Thomas Cope, Julius Visa and Gilles Samouy rounding out the top 10, covered by just over 0.56 of a second. Joe Viglione, Dan Sedgley, Joel Lask, they round out the top 13 ahead of Lorenzo Lutriciusi. Then also we've got Mr. Maynard, Don Maynardo, as his hashtag says. He's just trying to make it sound more Italian, and it just really doesn't work. Sorry that one, Don. Didn't mean to cause offence there. Oscar Soprich, David Parse, Alexandre Forel. Then we have got, along with that, Declan Gerard and Carl Palatini rounding out the starting order. 20 minutes on the timer for this one. And Leon Harhoff will be looking to make good his intentions and try and scarper away from the rest of the field, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think after the first race, he's going to be coming in with a lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
With pretty much a flawless race like that, you do get a lot of confidence. You can put it on pole for the final. And now all you have to do is, just do the same thing all over again. But, of course, now you have a couple of guys in that weren't in this race. Now you have, Julius Visa, who hasn't gotten turned in turn 1 yet. He was, a little bit off pace right now with P9. But we've seen already how quickly those positions can change around. And I think everyone's got to hold their breath now, especially on lap 1, with 20 angry, growling monsters on the circuit.
Yes, indeed, as we are waiting for the lights to come up on the gantry for the last time. So, folks, time to see who's going to win round 1 here at the Norisring before we go to Nürburgring Sprint in 3 weeks. And stay tuned on the post-race roundup ahead of what we need to discuss with you about this year's 2024 ADAC Digital GT 500. It's moments like this, Nico, that never get old.
I mean, you can cut the air with a knife. It's, so suspenseful, basically. Get yourself a little nice piece of suspense air cake before the race starts, and
get yourself get yourself some cold dairy products and get yourself a hot knife to cut through them with.
Oh, no, don't get dairy product. That doesn't sit well in the stomach when you're racing. I'm talking from absolute experience there. Don't worry about it. Don't question it further. Just trust me, guys.
I wasn't talking about sim racing. I was just talking about dairy products in general. Rather than saying, oh, if you had lunch before getting on that full motion simulator, you might regret it later.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for, let's say, I don't know, something longer like a 5-hour stint. And then you remember that you drank 1.5 liters of chocolate milk before that. And after the first 3 hours, you're basically thinking, oh boy, I've been in this simulator for the past 9 years. When will this end?
And then your stomach starts gurgling. And then you wonder, like, things could be going wrong. However, it's time for the final for round 1 of the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. The revs are building. The red lights are going on. 6 red lights are on. Lights out. Let's get racing. And it's going to be the rundown to Grundig-Kehrer for the first time. Oh, someone getting very, very busy. Trying to go 3 wide and thread the eye of the needle into the middle. And the colour drivers going straight on at turn 1. But Leon Harhoff controls the field. Great start by Grachan Bubalk, who was alongside on the front row, is second and third and fourth, and there's a big melee coming into the Chaleresses. Oh!
The Rebellions take each other out.
Oh, dearie me, and there's more
And it
dramas coming into the
continues.
Chaleresses again. Timur Cat down to the bottom of the order, Gerard to the bottom of the order, Samoy, Maynard, Forel, Lask. Who's that? Who's got? Well, I thought Sedgley had a missing front bumper. Well, the front bumper of the car is dark, so you think, hang on, is that some exposed carbon fibre on that monocoque? Oh, dearie me. And now Leonardo Passoni trying to go up the inside on Bubalk. Or trying to go around the outside through into Grundig-Kehrer. Great switchback. Leonardo Passoni gets through on Bubalk. Or was that Cope? No, that was Cope.
That was Thomas Cope.
Oh, dearie me, I nearly had a heart attack there. I've had too many of them this weekend, thanks to karting. But Leonardo Passoni in the number 32 Rebellion style car holds on to P3 ahead of Thomas Cope. And then Igor Wazowski just behind in 5th, the Group 1 race winner. Alexandre Forel gets past Gilles Samouy. Dan Sedgley gets past Mats Windhausen, but Leon Hardhoff just getting away to the distance. Wazowski gets through on Cope for 4th, down at turn 1. And that was the run through into the Chaleresses. Cope trying to go around the outside through the right-hander. Might try and see if he can swing the car through left. And Wazowski, I think, took a little bit of a slight glance out of the wall, in terms of hip checking it, that is. Viglione, Zolcek, Visa, Lutriciusi and Soprich round up the top 10. But Leon Harhoff leading the way by just over by 7/10 of a second. And Joe Last trying to get up the inside of Gilles Samouy, gets through. That's the change for 16th place by the number 7.
My God, that's unbelievable. Half just did a 48.2. Basically went over a 10th faster than Bubalc in 2nd place, despite Bubalc being in slipstream range. So all that pace, he actually, oh my goodness, that is actually Soprich in the inside grass, but all that pace that Half is putting is basically coming out of just the corners.
That's ridiculous. I honestly have no idea what to say to that, apart from point taken, understood, message received. Rafael Soltsek in the meantime trying to close in on Joe Viglione for 6th place, as we're nearly a quarter of the way through this this final race, where the points will, at the end of it all, make prizes, and that is Viglione around. Oh dear.
Yeah, slight contact there with Lautsitzring, and yeah, I think that is just at the exit, you know. You're trying to stay as close as possible, of course, you know, there's always this harmonica effect. You get closer up to the middle of the corner, and then it slowly starts pulling apart again. The gap grows a little bit as everyone accelerates. And of course, you need that gap to be as little as possible, and then I guess, yeah, Soltsek maybe accelerated a bit too early, maybe Viglione just a little bit too late, or maybe a bit too much interference from the traction control. But either way, no matter what of the chances there, it didn't work out for Viglione.
True. It just, sometimes you can use the risk versus reward, but sometimes you can't. Someone was very much locking up there. That was Joel Lask, I believe, into the side of Alexandra Forel.
They're all alive. They're all alive. It's okay. We can breathe. And this race is a very good exercise why you should pick commentators without heart problems. Or a racing spec pacemaker. Because I'll certainly need one if it keeps going on like this for the rest of the season and even on the Nürburgring. It's a good thing. It's all good. Oh my god, there's more contact! Okay, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's fine. No one spun around. I have plenty of friends who work as emergency medics, so it's all okay. I already know what to do if I have a heart attack at the expo.
Dan Sedgley, you were very, very lucky just then. As more locking up. Farrell gets through on Palatini, and Samui Lask has managed to get through on Farrell. That's the battle for 13th. This could end in tears right about now. 14 minutes and 20 to go. And, well, I don't need to say this after what's going to be 7 laps. Leon Half has a 5-second advantage over Leonardo Passoni. Igor Wasowski rounding at the top 3, and we're with Wasowski at the moment, closing in on Passoni, who's got Bubol, Cope. That's a quartet battling over second position. Shields Samui looking up the inside of Joel. Last gets through at Grundig, and that's a change.
Oh, win another one. Whoop.
Another one bites the dust.
A little bit of a squeeze at the exit of the Grundig-Kehre. Oh, but these guys are quite lucky that we have relatively minor things here right now. One thing that I'm noticing right now, Igor Wasowski, though, insanely quick. He's actually matching our pace. The problem is right now that he's behind Passoni. Big lockup. Passoni leaves the door open. Obviously, will try to go for a switch around, but loses another position against Wubolch. But Wasowski is through, and now he has 13 minutes to, one, try and get away from the Rebellion liveried car, and the other one that is also trying to get alongside right now. That was close. Another one. And now 7 seconds that he has to try and close the gap in 12 minutes 50 seconds.
Wasowski's car was getting a bit tail happy. We're wiggling its tail feather at those behind. As Bubok and Passioni side by side out of the final corner on the run out of Dutzenteichkehre. Now it's the run down to Grundig-Kehre at over 150 miles an hour. Who's going to be the latest on the brakes? It won't be Passioni. Bulbok gets through as Cope touches the inside of Passioni and spins it at Grundig.
I'm sorry, my Zoomer humor is coming through here with his last name. I'm very sorry. Very unlucky for Thomas Cope. And his rival Jonathan Seed will probably be quite happy about that.
I'm sorry, Nico. I'm so badly trying to stifle laughter right about now. Oh, well, at least Thomas Cope was between a rock and a hard place when he had to make that decision, whether he could cope or not.
I'm sure that he will be able to recover, though, because in race 1 he did have a quite good form. Of course, right in front of him, Soltis and Passoni are obviously fighting the 2 Rebellion liveried cars that came together already before in lap 1, so not all hope is lost for Thomas.
Don't take out your teammate.
Yeah, that's the golden rule, but well, like any big rule, you know, there's always a little appendix. However,
if he shoves me, I'll shove him back. Words to that effect, not including any expletives, folks. But Ludwig Jussi battling away with Mats Windhauser, Dan Sedgley, Julius Wieser running at the top 8, Joe Viglione running very, very well in 7th position. Thomas Cope, I think, is just put in a personal best. Oh dear, Little QC locks up under braking, and it's 3-4 around. Oh dearie me. Visa drops it, spun it around more times than Pete Burns from Dead or Alive. Musical reference, folks. Look it up on YouTube. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about if you do know who Dead or Alive is and who Pete Burns was. Very eccentric character within the music space. Dan Sedgley all right hip checks. Use into the right-hand side of Lautsitzring QC. This is coming out of the final corner. They've got Maynard just behind. This is wheel to wheel at over 135 miles an hour down the start-finish straight. Do not make it 3 wide into Grundig. Another hip check between Sedgley and Lautsitzring QC. Oh, and a lock up there from Maynard just behind. Sedgley runs wide, nearly touches the barriers. Windhauser getting sideways in the back end, and Farrell hits the wall. Oh, it's all coming. It's all coming. It's all coming to blows roundabout now. Everyone's frantically trying to get as many points as they can in the opening round out of 5 in the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Sedgley round the outside of Lautsitzring QC into Dutzenteicher and gets through for 8th. But this is a quartet battling away. Sedgley, Lautsitzring QC, Maynard and Windhauser. That is from 8th to 11th, and they are 5.7 seconds behind Joe Viglione in 7th place. And still, who's going to be brave here? Oh, cool, crikey. Maynard. Oh, was that Windhauser in the wall? I think it was.
Yeah, just barely. Lost quite a bit of time there, but luckily no bigger contact. But, oh, these two guys, they're fighting away in the background now. Well, we also have Soltis against, that's Sedgley? No, that's not Sedgley, that is Viglione, sorry. And, yeah, another Rebellion liveried car. Quite, yeah, I mean, these cars have been, you know, all over the action for this race already. Now sitting in the slipstream down the front straight, and, yeah, looking down the inside, maybe not quite. Once you look, oh.
Soltis X spun it. Too many beans on the loud pedal. He's done it again, and that was Sedgley. That was Sedgley
spinning around properly. But,
oh, that's how you do it. Too many beans on the loud pedal. Thomas Cope running in 5th, quite a bit of distance ahead of Joe Viglione. The gap is about 3.3 seconds. But Leon Harhoff is leading by a considerable margin on lap 16. Just coming up to the 7.5 minute marker left to go. 7.7 seconds. Don Maynardo, or Maynard. I'm just saying the word Maynardo just to entertain him. So, I'll say it once, I won't say it again. I'll chop the O off the back of his surname. There we go. Let me prove it by a birth certificate.
You were saying it sounds too Italian, you know, but especially then, you know, with Italy, with Mafia, you know, you don't want to upset the Don, Alex. So I would keep the O, you know. I'm Don Maynardo. I'm very respectful towards the Familia. So if you watch back the stream,
I ain't saying nothing. Otherwise, I'll set Jason Statham on him. All right. That's enough of my impersonations for the evening. Sopwith trying to get through on Palatini and has got the job done. That's for 16th. Palatini, though, trying to come back at him. Coming out of the exit of Dutzenteicher as they go down the start-finish straight. Palatini towards the outside of Sopwith for 16th place now into the braking zone. Is one of them going to lock up? They both lock up at the rear axle. Sopwith defends. Palatini tries to get the under over. Can't get the job done. And with 6.25 minutes remaining, well, Leon Harhoff has already fired the warning shot across the bows of everybody else and said, okay, you want me? Come and get me.
yeah, I think Rosowski used up too much of his tires early on in the race, had to push quite a bit. Now, of course, then you also lock up easier, then the tires get damaged easier, yada, 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 high temperatures. And I think it cost him a little bit too much steam. It took him too long to get past all the others and to get through the carnage in the S-curve in lap 1. So now there's this big gap, you know, it's difficult at best, you know, to catch up a gap like this on a normal racetrack, but on the Norisring, you know, where we also have Leon Harhoff as one of the local experts, honestly, it's getting even more difficult.
Well, not at all surprising with Leon Harhoff's pedigree. that this was going to be a case that everyone else would be fighting for the scraps over the dinner table as we are heading into the final 5 minutes. But what a drive it's been for Leon Harhoff so far. Not phased, not looking back, just carrying on, just putting the lap times in. And any lap time you can gain now can also be put to good use in future endeavours within motorsport, whether it be digital or real life. But Leon Harhoff is just showing a clear pair of rear tyres to Igor Wazowski. 7.5 seconds is the race lead as we head into the final 4.5 minutes as the lock-up. Oh! And someone's got straight on. There was Declan Gerrard that went straight on. Grundichara was very, very lucky to stay out of the barriers. My goodness me, people are starting to get tired. These drivers that have made it through, they've done a practice session, a qualifier, one race, another practice session, another qualifier, and set to do another race. Well, would you Adam and Eve it? Things have slightly changed up and down the order as Julius Wiese trying to close in on I think that was Windhausen.
I think, yeah.
Windhausen. But into the last 3 and a bit minutes, just over 3.5 minutes to go. Leon Harhoff, sorry, I'm getting really, really tired at the moment, and I've been on my feet most of the day. So, Leon, apologies for the Freudian slip on the surname. Harhoff is leading by 7.5 seconds ahead of Wazowski with Bubok and Bazzoni. This is the battle for 12th place. Julius Wiese versus Joel Lask as they head into Grundichara. Alex Farrell gets a little bit late on the brakes. So did someone else in front, and unfortunately didn't get the carry of momentum through that corner. So once again, the hairpins here at the Norisring proving that they're not an easy test to negotiate at the best of times.
Yeah, and well, a fatality at the worst of times. I think we're seeing more and more people lock up here because the one downside at the Norisring that I would say, the longer you race here, the more you feel like you're in a roundabout because, you know, you go from the front straight, hard brakes, go around the hairpin, squiggle, go the shorter straight, last corner, go around the hairpin, then front straight, you know. It's after a while, you know, you're sort of getting into the same rhythm as if you're basically driving like a maniac through your local roundabout because it is fun for the first 10-15 minutes, but at some point you're basically realizing, oh no, I don't know how to, you know, keep this consistent anymore. That's exactly what I mean. Alexandro Farrell there, really unfortunate with a slight misjudgment out of the S, and yeah, just instantly sharing off to the left.
Yeah, still 1 minute and 40 left to go in this opening round out of 5 for the ADAC SimRacing Expo for 2024, the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. A lot more accessible than what it was last year, and it's not going to be easy as Windhausen gets shoved into the wall with 1 minute and 25 on the clock to go, and I think that was Joel Last just threading the eye of the needle up the inside. Bang, hip check, Windhausen in the wall.
And that's exactly the problem here, you know, you just make a tiny mistake, you leave the guys a little bit of a gap, you know, they will try to take that gap. It's now the last few laps, and you have to stay on top of your game, you have to stay alert, you have to stay always right on the throttle pedal, but also, you know, not too hard when you're coming out of the hairpins, as we saw already. So all of these guys are now swirling for the last couple of places. This only seems like a little bit, but from 7th down to pretty much 11th place, you know, that's 6-point steps that are going down, you know. So gain 1 position, you gain 6 points more at the end of the race, and these guys know that now.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But we are coming down to the final 20 plus seconds and an additional lap, as it's been, as our friends in the Fast Show would say, Scorchio. That's enough of that one, Alex. Thank you very much. But we are coming down to the final few seconds as 4, 3, 2, 1. That is it. Time is up. And it's going to be a win in Group 2. And now winning the points final with a maximum score. Leon Hahoff wins after 25 laps of the Norisring here in the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy Round 1 final. Second will be Igor Wozowski, and then great job by Gratian Bubolk, Leonardo Pazione, also Thomas Cope, Joe Viglione. There are some battles still happening. Julius Visa battling away with I think that is Oscar Soprich, and across the line they go. Oscar Soprich, well, it was Julius Visa that got ahead of Gilles Samoy, and also next up would be the number 14 place driver. Oh dear, well, what can I say about that? That's it for all the racing action. That, you know what, Nico, those last 2.5 hours have pretty much flown by. It really, really has been an exciting way to start the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy for 2024. You stick LMP3s at Norisring. There was a lot of great racing, and of course, 3 weeks' time we head to the Nürburgring.
Absolutely, and now that you mention it, goddamn, 2.5 hours. Feels like I just stepped out of the hyperbolic time chamber. And yeah, as you said, very, very impressive run there. I mean, I think we're waiting now for an interview of Leon Hahoff. And one thing here that I'm just quickly reading, as we're reading the first couple messages of the drivers after they get out of their cars. Declan Gerard, his bad luck continued, forced to do a pit lane start. And of course, with AC1 here, with the lap length, you're basically losing half a lap there already. So really, really unlucky for Declan.
Yeah, very much the case. So, yeah, it's just one of those things whereby, we've had 3 fantastic races, and Leon Hahoff has just done a fantastic job. We'll run you through the race results for the final. Leon Hahoff finishes by a comfortable margin. Then we've got Igor Wozowski, then Gratian Bubolk, Leonardo Pazioni, Thomas Cope, Joe Viglione, Dan Sedgley. Then we had Lorenzo Lutriciusi. Then along with that, Rafał Solcek, Joel Lask, Julius Visa, Gilles Samoy, Oscar Soprich. Then we had Mats Windhausen, Carl Palatini, Timur Kat, Alexandre Forel. Then we had David Partsai and Declan Gerald. But you know what? Without further ado, I'm going to pull this guy in. And a very, very good evening. Leon Hahoff, our inaugural winner of the 2024 ADAC SimRacing Expo Asetek Simsports Community Trophy. Leon, welcome along. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Yeah, thank you very much. It feels amazing. When I saw the poster for this event, I love the original AC. I kind of like the LMP3 in iRacing, and then I thought to myself, well, I gotta go for it. And the pre-qualification went okay. I managed to book a spot in this amazing competition, and now on the Norisring, it just went even better. So I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, talk to us about Nico. Have you got any questions for Leon? I'm sure that there are a couple. I can see the cogs twisting in the back of your skull at the minute.
I mean, just overall, how much time did you actually invest in pre-quali? Because I did say, we saw you that you basically seated in a 20, in 20th place, that is, for pre-qualifying. And then all of a sudden here comes, wow, okay, all the strength in the world, you're in here. So just let me ask, how much time did you put into pre-qualifying and then put some more practice in for the actual race?
Yeah, to be honest, not that much, because when I put in my first laps, I was one of the first drivers who did so, who do so, and at that point I was in P1, and then I was really just tracking how it was going. And when I saw one day before the closure of the event or the pre-qualification, I was still in like P18. I thought to myself, well, okay, that's enough, because I have quite some other competitions that I run in, and I rather practice for that. And in the end, rather practiced for the Norisring then, because that was more important.
Yeah, it's all about, putting the right priorities. That's it. I was going to say privilege, but that's not quite correct. But, either way, a fantastic drive again. I mean, I remember competing against you, well, Touringwagen Classics ages ago,
yeah, I
way
remember.
back. Good times.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you definitely stayed the same speedy self. So good to see you racing again for sure. And back to Alex. Do you have any more questions to him?
Well, Leon, congratulations. Winner of round 1. We go to the Nürburgring sprint circuit in 3 weeks. But also, Nico was telling me about the fact that you run on quite a few sims. You look to be the man that's going to be the one that everyone's going to have to catch in this. You're looking forward to the challenge of seeing if Wojciechowski, Windhaus, and everybody else can try and give you a run for your money in this particular competition. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are tremendously talented drivers as well, because I think in this particular race, I had a little bit of luck that I could stay out of trouble and get a few seconds ahead, and then I pretty much had the margin to just run it to the end. Because if you look at the lap times the guys behind me were doing, they were pretty much identical to mine. So it could have been a very, very nice fight. And I think that's what we are going to see at the next races too. And also, I think there are a lot of guys who are now in their summer vacation who are going to return for the second race, and the competition is going to be even tighter.
Well, Leon Harhoff, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on winning round 1 here at the Norisring. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go for the rest of the Sunday night?
Well, I would like to give a shout out to my team, Smelly Esports and Entropy E-Racing, of course, and my motorsports club, Renngemeinschaft Bergisch Gladbach. And I think some of them might be watching, so hello to them and a good evening.
Brilliant. Leon, we'll let you get on with your evening. Thanks so much for talking to us, and we'll see you for round 2 at the Nürburgring Sprint Circuit in 3 weeks' time.
Looking forward to it. Bye, guys.
Cheers. Well, a big thank you to Leon Harhoff for joining us there in the post-race interview. But, well, Nico, if that is the way that the 2024 Asetek Simsports Community Trophy starts off, it went off with a bang. Fireworks aplenty. Drivers still trying to outbrake each other going into Grundig and Dusentai, multiple contact incidences, but overall a great way to see how this new format is going to look and how it's going to play out over the next 4 out of 5 rounds, with the finale where the community decides the track for round 5 on the 18th of October 2024.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, as you also rightly put it, there's still a lot of drivers that are maybe still on vacation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that in 3 weeks it's gonna be maybe some new faces as well, maybe another couple of fast faces as well. But I still have to say, Leon is one of the experts around German tracks. So I'm looking forward to seeing a very good battle with him, because, obviously he's one of those rare guys that actually does real life and virtual racing. Races in I think this year in NATC, so in a smaller series, but with a very nice RX-7, or maybe that was last year. Not 100% sure, but always great to see the mixed skill set that comes from both real life and virtual experience. So he knows these tracks inside and out. So definitely bring the home field advantage.
Well, folks, 7 days from now, the 2024 ADAC Digital GT 500 gets underway. And we have really, really upped the ante with the format revision. plus. Rather than endurance, we're going for all-out adaptability. There are 4 car choices, 5 different circuits. The drivers will not know what circuit and car combination it will be until 20 hours the day before the event. We're going to have 8 minutes. We're going to have for each round 8 minutes, 2-lap single driver qualifying. Then we're going to have 2 races. No endurance, none of that shenanigans anymore. It's flat out sprints. Race 1, the grid's decided by qualifying. Race 2, full reverse grids. And you can join us from 8 PM Central European Summertime next week, right here on ADAC SimRacing Expo YouTube and Twitch channels. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for round 1 out of 5 for the Asetek Simsports Community Trophy with myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Nico Hellebrand. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit us up on socials for ADAC SimRacing Expo, and we'll see you in 7 days' time for the beginning of the 2024 ADAC Digital GT500. Good night for now.